You're listening to an African Elements top news story for March 24, 2025. Please visit our website at africanelements.org for more daily news. Parchman Farm Prison Unit 29 Incarcerated Writings, First-Hand Accounts, Systemic Racism. The Mississippi State Penitentiary, known as Parchman Farm, is more than just a prison. It's a chilling reminder of America's dark past and continuing struggle with racial injustice. Unit 29, Writings from Parchman Prison, gives voice to those locked inside its walls, revealing experiences of suffering and resilience. Moreover, these first-hand accounts from over 30 incarcerated individuals offer a raw, unfiltered look into the brutal realities of life within one of America's most notorious prisons. These stories transport us beyond the statistics, showing the human toll of systemic issues. Parchman was built in 1901 on a former slave plantation. The early days of Parchman were deeply rooted in the racial injustices of the post-Civil War South. Black codes and vagrancy laws were used to target African Americans. These individuals were swept into the prison system, creating a workforce that mirrored the exploitative conditions of slavery. In the prison's early years, an astonishing 85% of its population was black, a direct reflection of systemic targeting. The prison enforced strict racial segregation. Consequently, black inmates faced harsher work quotas, lived in worse conditions, and were subjected to more violence. Today, the legacy of this targeted injustice continues. Black Mississippians make up 70% of Parchman's population, despite representing only 37% of the state's population. The book Unit 29, Writings from Parchman Prison, gives us something invaluable. It contains the voices of those experiencing Parchman's brutality firsthand. These writings, published in December 2024, provide vivid descriptions of life in Unit 29. Unit 29, a section known for harsh conditions, includes stories of long-term solitary confinement, substance abuse, violence, and suicide attempts. These narratives expose the psychological impact of incarceration. One example is Christopher Smith's grief over his mother's death while he was detained. The collected writings showcase examples of systemic violence. For instance, inmates detail the shit shake, a horrific feces-throwing conflict. Additionally, near-fatal altercations between inmates illuminate the constant dangers within. The collection even includes Istanbul Borum's powerful words on maintaining inner freedom. "Prison don't have any real chains on me." Parchman's horrific conditions have drawn legal scrutiny for decades. A 1972 lawsuit confirmed the prison's segregationist policies. The evidence included overcrowding and disproportionate discipline for black prisoners. In the same year, federal courts issued an injunction. This injunction noted that black inmates were forced to endure double the number of people in the same space as white inmates. More recently, in 2020, a lawsuit led to a Department of Justice investigation exposing unconstitutional conditions. While some reforms followed, resulting in the partial closure of Unit 29, the struggle for justice is far from over. Moreover, 34 death row inmates still remain there. The Black Codes were laws passed in southern states after the Civil War. They were explicitly designed to limit the freedom of African Americans and ensure their availability as a cheap labor force after slavery was abolished. Further, these codes restricted almost every aspect of black life. These laws criminalized things like owning a gun, marrying a white person, or even being unemployed. Vagrancy laws were a key part of this, allowing authorities to arrest freed people who couldn't prove they had a job, forcing them into often unpaid labor. Mississippi's code, in particular, allowed authorities to arrest black people who left their jobs early, forcing them back to their legal employer. These actions were systemic racism in action, creating a legal framework to maintain white dominance and exploit black labor. After emancipation, vagrancy and loitering laws became key weapons to reimpose control over black labor. These weren't about public safety, they criminalized joblessness and movement. This system was consequently echoing the control of the slavery era. Mississippi's 1865 vagrancy law stated that freed people without proof of employment were considered vagrants. Therefore, they were subject to arrest and forced labor. South Carolina took it a step further, banning black people from owning firearms. Consequently, this action reinforced social control through fear. These laws fueled the convict lease system. Under this system, arrested individuals faced involuntary labor, basically maintaining slavery by another name. Copyright African Elements.